Okay, everybody. It's time for our final presentation. It's on Harris County Reentry Program. So if you'll have a seat and get ready, we're going to get started. And this is Miss Jennifer Herring. She's going to be presenting today, so please give her your attention and welcome her to the proceedings.
Thank you all for having me. It is the end of the day. I am fully aware of that, so I made my presentation very short so you can beat all of this downtown traffic and get home on a good Thursday night. Thank you all for having me, and thank you for what you do. I'm gonna wait till he finishes. You ready? Thank you. I'm coming from the sheriff's office, and I know that if you've been over to the jail, then you've been experiencing a lot of what we've experienced since the hurricane. So we are all in a room of post-Harvey-ettes. Yes, and we thank you for continuing to weather the storm, whether you're at 1307 Baker, 1200 on the 4th floor, or 701 in the basement. We thank you for diligently continuing to come and see your clients and do what is needed to be done to get through the days. I'm Jennifer Herring. I'm the Director of Reentry Services. And today I'm going to briefly just tell you what reentry is. You may have heard about reentry. You may have heard your clients talk about reentry. Reentry has been around at the sheriff's office now. I started in August of 2013, and I created 4 programs, and these programs have turned out to be very successful. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about what we do and how you qualify for our programs and who we see and who we are. So let's begin the presentation. That's me and my manager. I created the program, so they gave me the title as director. This was my dissertation work. I am a social worker by profession. I am actually the only social worker in the Harris County Sheriff's Office that works for the Sheriff's Office. Why? Because we don't have restorative justice programs in penal institutions. So I was hired to start a program, but really what I started was a revolution. I'll say that. And when I finish talking, you will probably agree that what we're doing inside this jail is not being done in any other jail that is in this country. We don't have programs inside of jails. We have programs inside of prisons. But usually jails are just holding spaces for people. Well, I was taught a little different, that if people sit, they need to be doing something. And their minds need to be fed. And I'm a big believer about idle minds become a workshop for the devil. I believe that when we do nothing, we become nothing. So my mindset is that everybody who comes into the Harris County Jail will leave out better than they came in. So how do we do that? That's my manager. He oversees the staff. He oversees the program. I think it's very important that you all see pictures of people. So when you see them, you recognize them, or if you're looking for them, you know what they look like. And this is my staff. Viviana is my assistant. She helps me every day in the logistical work that needs to be done. We do a lot of tours at the county jail. That's another thing that I was able to successfully do, was to open the doors. I came into the jail under the leadership of Adrian Garcia, who was very supportive of my program, but he was also running for mayor. So I was able to do a lot while he was running for mayor. And so then Sheriff Ron Hickman came in, who was very supportive as well and expanded our programs. And now we have Sheriff Gonzalez, who is just as supportive. So we've been blessed enough to have 3 sheriffs with 3 different views and opinions and ideologies who all like what we do, so we feel glad about that. This is my deputy. I have to have a deputy because we are in a jail, and we have to make sure that there are jail rules that are being followed, and that there's no one that gets out of hand. Luckily, we have, in the 4 years that I've been there, we haven't had any fights in our program, which is unheard of in the Harris County Jail, because when you sit and you have nothing to do, sometimes fighting is something to do. Well, we don't tolerate it, so we don't have those issues, and I have a deputy that works every day to make sure they're up and moving. This is Heidi Lasser. You may have seen her on roller skates. She is one of my case managers for our Mentoring Moms program. And our Mentoring Moms program, I'll talk about in a second, is a very successful program that looks at the issues that affect pregnant women, and pregnant women who specifically are incarcerated. This is Shanti Scott Peters. Shanti Scott Peters is over our Stars and Stripes program. That's our veterans program. You may have heard of Stars and Stripes. We've been in existence since June of 2014. This is Rhonda Lindsay. You may have seen her. Sometimes her hair gives her away. She's at the courthouse every day, and we're always there representing one of the clients in the program. She's the program coordinator for the Mentoring Moms program and our program called Project Evolve, which is formerly We've Been There, Done That, our prostitution reform, human sex trafficking program. This is Gwen Bassett. She's over the Freedom Project Men. The Freedom Project is our substance abuse program, and she specifically works with the men. This was a open position that has since been filled, and he will be starting on Monday. So I'll upload his picture on Monday. This is Carolina Laren and Tiffany Perriott. They are both case managers with the Freedom Project Women. And that's our substance abuse program that specifically targets women. What is reentry? Glad you asked. Reentry is traditionally defined as transitioning from incarceration into the community upon discharge. That's what the literature says. Transitioning back into the community post-discharge from jail, prison, anywhere where you have been locked or institutionalized, I should say. I didn't like that definition. I thought that once somebody was leaving something, it would be hard to give them something. So if you're leaving and we're going to meet you on the outside and say, hey, we have something for you, we might not be as effective if we had given it to you when you first got there. So as a social worker, I looked at how we help people. We meet people where they are. That's what we do. We go to them, not expect them to come to us. And we go to them when they're most vulnerable, when they're most afraid, where the greatest hope can be achieved. And I think that is probably the minute you walk into the jail. You're high, you're afraid, you're angry, you're frustrated. So if somebody walked up to me at that moment, I'm separated from my family, I'm separated from my children. If someone walked up to me at that moment and said, I'd like to help you, then that probably is my greatest opportunity to get them to listen. The help is good. The change is going to come from them. The help is going to come from us. But if we can engage them at that moment, develop a relationship of rapport and trust, then they may buy what we're selling. And what are we selling? Freedom. Freedom. Not freedom from jail. Freedom from whatever it is that has them bound. I remember talking to a group of students one day, and one of our captains stood up and said, people are in jail because they're poor. Sure they are. There's some people in jail that are not poor. I meet them. Probably got more money than me. They'll show you the bank statements, tell you how much they are worth. There's some people that are in jail that are educated. I've met some lawyers in jail. I've met some social workers in jail. There's some professional people that are incarcerated. We see 9,000 people a day. Every one of them is broken. Every one of them is broken. I have yet to meet one person that says, I am great and this is where I should be. This is who I am, and today, on this day, this is where I'm supposed to be. No, healthy people say that, not broken people. So if everyone has this in common, this brokenness, then that's where we need to start. And that's what we do. So we're a case management program that's built on a foundation of love. Very radical. I told you it was revolutionary. Love. Love. And what does love look like? Love looks like a lot of things. It looks like we don't judge you. Nope. We just lost one of our best clients. You may have seen him in the paper. His name was Joseph Dahl. Joseph Dahl came to us 3 years ago. One of the most notorious drug dealers in Fifth Ward. 20 years inside and outside of prison. Back and forth, back and forth. We met him in the Freedom Project. And I walked up to him one day and I said, you're a leader. And he said, what are you talking about, Miss Jennifer? And I said, you're a leader, you're just on the wrong side. And he said, what do you mean? I said, look how these men listen to you. Look at this. You could do something powerful with your life. Did you know that? And tears started coming out of his drug dealer hard eyes. Yeah. He's crying because nobody ever told him that. He grew up in foster care. He was abused all his life. So we just tell them things that we believe, that they are capable of achieving, that they are great. Yeah, that they're not hopeless, they're not worthless. So we start there. That's where we start, from a foundation of love, and then we help build them up. And they do that themselves through a lot of work. So my definition for reentry is it's a process. Reentry is not a point, it's a process. So we connect, collaborate, and build a continuum with strong community partners, transitioning people back into their community better than they were before. So this is an 8 to 4 program, Monday through Friday. At 8 o'clock, they're up. Every morning, beds made. I had one of my veterans from our Stars and Stripes program teach everyone how to make their beds. So they get up every morning and they make their beds. From 8 to 9, they have to meditate, pray, or spend some time with themselves. That's what they're required to do for an hour before they prepare for their day. Their case manager comes in, finds out who's at court, lets them know she'll see them later in the day. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the community comes in. So depending on your program is dependent on who comes in to visit with you. If you're, let's say you're in the Stars and Stripes program, you're a veteran, the VA comes, Camp Hope comes to work with those combat veterans who are suffering with PTSD. Mental Health America comes to work with those veterans who've been diagnosed, and 99% of our veterans in our program have been diagnosed with PTSD while they have been in jail. A lot of them did not know what PTSD was. We couldn't imagine that. that you fought in the military and you've been disconnected and you don't know the services that are available for you because you don't know what's wrong. So we do a real good job of connecting them with the Harris Center, which is formerly MHMRA. It's on the second floor of our jail, their clinic, in getting them stabilized. So now the Harris Center works with them, and once they get them stabilized, they send them to us. So we transition them back into their community, knowing the community partner that they're working with. Because we're not going to send them to the community partner. I'm going to bring the partner to them. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, they're meeting with their community partners. They're required to do homework. They're required for me to keep a journal every day. So they're writing their life story. They have a case manager who comes in on Tuesdays and Thursdays and teaches a curriculum from a prison-based curriculum called the Change Companies. It's a series of journaling curriculums that are written at a 4th grade level. So everyone is available to this educational experience. It's on a 4th grade level. I've had a Spanish-speaking individual in our mom's program who is now bilingual because the women in the program help each other. The men in the program help each other. She came in, didn't speak any English, but she didn't want to leave because there's a sisterhood. She didn't want to leave. And I said, well, what are we going to do? And one of the women in the community, we call it the community, said, Miss Jennifer, I'll help her. I'll help her with her homework. I'll help her in translation. Well, the entire group started teaching her how to speak English. So one day I had a visit with the sheriff and we all came in to Mentoring Moms. This is Mentoring Moms. We stand in a circle and they sing a song and they say a prayer for you, and then all of a sudden they turn to her and she said the prayer in English.